This podcast is rated S for spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Don't forget to view our spoiler-free companion video on our Half Past Podcast channel on YouTube. Welcome to the Half Past Podcast. This is episode 61, the movie review of The Fate and the Furious. We're also going to be talking about that new Last Jedi trailer.
Yes. Yes.
Here with me, I'm Graham Riggs, and here with me is my friend over there, Ian Jones.
Hey, someone hold out a wood board. I'm gonna break it in half like this. Oh wait, I've never attempted this before. That's a great way to break your hand. You don't know what you're doing.
That reminds me of a buddy of ours, right?
Yes, it does. Who did exactly that? Ooh, I hope he listens to this one. I'm sure he will, because he's a car guy. Him and his fragile little hand. Old buddy. We
love you, buddy.
We find this hilarious, but he may not. Okay.
Super excited about this Last Jedi trailer. So, the first thing I want to say is the thing I always say about these things, and that's it's a teaser, so there's not much to say about it at all. So it's like it gives you a tiny little taste of all these little things that are happening. And so, probably the coolest thing I think about the trailer is actually the voiceover and seeing some force powers from Rey, which is very reminiscent of, like, Man of Steel, not Man of Steel, but Batman versus Superman at the end of it, where the things start coming up, so he's still alive.
Yeah.
It's like the same visual. So it's such a weird kind of thing. But the thing that I was excited about is, like, hearing the voiceover talking about, like, what does she see and how she sees, like, the light and the dark and then balance, which is very important, I feel like, because I have been, like, my father has just, like, he's been a fan of Star Wars ever since he was, like, younger than me, back in the freaking 70s. And so he's been just, like, reading all these rumors and all this stuff about this movie.
Yeah.
And he has all these theories.
Okay.
And one of the things that he keeps mentioning, which is something that was in, like, the video games, was, like, Gray Jedi, where they find the actual true balance. So they're not quite light and they're not quite dark. So you almost feel like you might get some of that with this because they're talking about balance, but we don't know for sure. So it's just, I thought that was just really cool about this. What do you have to say?
This is kind of a double-edged sword thing, because I knew they were going to make us wait until Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
And I watched all day. I watched all day Thursday, which was sort of a throwback day with the old cast, and then all day Friday with some of the new cast. And right at the very end, they revealed the poster, which is awesome and iconic. I don't know if you've seen that new poster.
No, I haven't.
It's got Luke. It's a throwback to the very original one, but it's got Rey, Luke, and Kylo Ren on it, which is probably what the story really is going to be centering around, is those three.
Yeah, I would assume so.
So, it's one of those things where I just want to see more. Now that I got it, and I've been complaining about this for a long time. I've been wanting to see this damn footage.
There's podcasts where we know.
Yes.
That talking about.
It's a weekly thing, me griping about us not having this trailer. Yeah. Because the movie is this year. And, Rogue One had a trailer out a year before. The Force Awakens did too, but that's kind of a different situation. J.J. Abrams is a visual effects guy, so he was able to cut one together a little bit quicker. But I think they had something to prove too with that first trailer that they don't have to do this time around.
Yeah, I believe so also.
So I love Rey's character so much that I'm happy that we got a big dose of her, but we also got to see just little glimpses of everyone else.
Yeah, you got to see Poe, and you got to see Finn, who looks like he's on a speeder of some sort, which might looks kind of like a pod race, which kind of scares me a little bit. But other than that, it just kind of, it looks like there's a lot of interesting visuals they're doing on this one, and I think it's a good teaser. I think it does exactly what it's supposed to do, which makes you want more and to know more about it. So it leads up to the next trailer that hopefully we'll get in the next few months. And that one will show us more of what's going on, which would be great.
Yeah, and I was trying to look at the schedule of movies to figure out when that's going to be. I would think that it's going to be over the summer at some point, or maybe attached to Thor. I mean, would it be that late?
I don't know. I don't know. I think this time around they've actually been pretty off the normal schedule that we're used to with trailers and everything. So I think that's just kind of how it's happening in this instance. But
gotcha.
Yeah, it just seems like it's off. Like we're not getting as much information as we used to do for like most movies. So it's like they're keeping it really low key, which leads me to believe that there might be a huge like reveal or something that's just more involved in this one.
And, you know, I mean, really, if you look back to The Force Awakens, I mean, there was a lot of, like, speculation because the trailer didn't show much. Like, where was Luke? Who was, you know, who's the villain going to be out of all this cast? There was a lot of wild speculation that, you know, Luke was going to, or that Rey was going to be like Han Solo's daughter or Luke's daughter, and none of those things are panning out.
No.
So, you know, I mean, that was before the movie ever even came out.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see what the next one holds, because that one should be a little bit more of the story. But, you know, they're not going to give too much away.
No, they're not going to. So we'll have to see what happens with it. But I'm definitely excited about it. So we'll get ready for it.
All right. Face punch. Face punch because Graham's excited.
All right, so let's take a break and then we'll get into the fate of the Furious. Huh?
All right.
A mysterious woman seduces Dom into the world of terrorism and a betrayal of those closest to him, forcing the crew to take him down. This movie's directed by F. Gary Gray, who has been directing for a while, since like the mid-90s. Like he started with music videos and stuff. So he's like one of those directors.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah, one of those directors. He's one of the very few like black directors in Hollywood. And so he did like Friday, Set It Off, The Italian Job, and he also recently did Straight Outta Compton. So that's like his whole like filmography there to kind of give you an idea of the types of movies that he does, which means he's worked with Charlize Theron before. This movie starring, of course, Vin Diesel as Dom, who is known for Chronicles of Riddick, Iron Giant, and of course now Guardians of the Galaxy as Groot. Where he only needs to say one line.
What did he do? What did he do in Iron Giant? Was he the
giant? He was the
giant. Something else where he only has like one damn line.
Yeah.
You know, the fewer lines we give this guy, the better.
Yeah, well, I would mention The Last Witch Hunter, but... By the way, we reviewed that one, so if anybody wants to hear about how terrible that one is, that's
look
fun.
It up. Look it up. It's in there. It's one of the episodes, damn it.
Oh, yeah. Jason Statham as Deckard, who is in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, The Transporter, and Crank, which is just such a crazy freaking movie to watch.
It is. It's fun. Man. It's a lot of fun, though.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun, and it's super crazy. Dwayne Johnson as Hobbs. He's most known as being, you know, The Rock. The wrestler The Rock, who's been in a ton of things. And he's just been getting more and more popular. I don't know how that's happened with him, but it's because it's probably because he's just really charismatic, and apparently he's just super nice to like everybody enjoys working with him, and he sells tickets. So
he does. He does.
It's amazing that he's gone from the most electrifying man of sports entertainment to the most sexiest man alive. That's how far.
I love that little segue. I love what you did there. Because he was just named that. Yeah, you're on the ball today. Damn, I didn't know you were bringing your A game.
He was also in Walking Tall and, of course, Doom, which was also a weird, kind of fun little movie. Not the best movie, though.
No, it isn't, but it's fun.
But it is fun.
Yeah. In a guilty pleasure kind of way.
In a guilty pleasure type of way, yes. Michelle Rodriguez as Letty. She was in Girl Fight, SWAT, and Avatar.
I love Michelle Rodriguez because...
she's awesome.
She's awesome, and she fights so hard to play a straight girl.
Yeah, right?
And I love it. I love it. But she's just game for it.
Yeah,
she's like, these are the parts I get, and fine.
Yep. I really like Michelle Rodriguez, and I want to see her in more things, because I think she's a lot better than people give her credit for. And so it's kind of a shame that we don't see her in a lot of things. Tyrese Gibson as Roman. He was in Baby Boy, Annapolis, the closet boxing movie, I guess. It was just like super weird. Annapolis.
Oh yes, Annapolis. Yeah, it's
Annapolis.
a
when
movie.
you watch the trailer with James Franco, when you watch the trailer, it does not look like a boxing movie at all. There's like one scene in there, but then when you watch the movie, it's a freaking boxing movie.
Oh, for sure.
It's so weird. And he's also in Transformers. Ludacris as Tej Parker. I believe he was dubbed Chris Ludacris Bridges in this one, because that's his real name, Chris
right,
Bridges.
Well, because that's not confusing enough.
Yeah, I know, right?
And Dwayne Johnson in the same movie,
right?
They just need to start adding more rappers to this franchise somehow.
Yep, you have. He was in Crash, Fred Claus, and he had another minor role in Rock and Rolla. Charlize freaking Theron as Cypher, who is such a weird casting. Like, when we were looking at the trailers, the casting's so weird, and it has to automatically like make the budget more expensive because it's freaking Charlize Theron, and I actually just loved her in this movie. But she was in The Devil's Advocate, Monster, and The Italian Job. Kurt Russell as Mr. Nobody, which another just like, what was the last thing you remember seeing Kurt Russell in?
You know, though, it seems like we're going to start seeing him and stuff because he's Star-Lord's dad and Guardians, and it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's so weird. Even just me saying he was in Escape from New York, The Thing, and Stargate, those are all a long time ago.
Right, yeah. And he and Goldie Hawn really sort of walked away at the same time.
Yeah, they did.
You know, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I don't have anything to say other than I was thinking, well, you know, they did have this daughter together, but she was already kind of grown by the time they left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Stargate was in the 90s. I think she was already starting to appear and stuff. So
yeah, it's just so strange. I'm not sure what's going on with the casting on this, but they definitely had fun. Last one we have here is Natalie Emmanuel as Ramsey, who she's most known for, she's on Maze Runner: The Scorched Trials, which, man, I can't wait till we get that third movie, which has just been delayed and delayed. And she's also, of course, in Game of Thrones.
Yes, probably what she's most known for.
Yes, Game of Thrones is what she's most known for. All right, so we're done with all the characters, Jones. Let's go ahead and take another quick break, and then we'll go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of this movie here. All right. Oh, is that a plane going by?
You're off course, man. Time to buzz these buildings. They're going to take your pilot's license away.
God damn it.
You were out of control, Tom Cruise. Hey, everybody, we're back, and Graham's house is getting buzzed by an airplane.
I know. There's just this buzz going on. I'm like, what is going on here?
Tom Cruise is pissed. He's like, I know a black man lives in this nice apartment. Let's buzz him a couple of times. I can get away with anything. I can eat a baby. I'm Tom Cruise.
I just love how this ridiculous version of Tom Cruise you have is just power hungry and crazy. All right, John. So let's get into these quirks and likes.
We're keeping that. We're adding that in. We're adding in all the shots of Tom Cruise. We're gonna start with me adding. Yeah. Anytime you can take a shot at Tom Cruise.
I know, right? Freaking. You've watched all the Fast and Furious movies, correct?
Oh, boy.
Have you seen all of them?
I think so.
Oh, God, I don't like this delay at all.
Okay,
and you're answering this question.
I didn't think you were gonna put me on the spot like that, okay?
Well, here's the deal.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked is because one of the parts of this movie that I did not understand at all was Elena with the baby.
Okay, here's the thing.
So what is going on with that?
Okay, so I've seen all the Fast and the Furious movies, and had I not gone with someone to see this on Friday morning, they had to explain to me who that was because I didn't remember her, and she was in the last. She was in the last movie. She was The Rock's partner, and so yes, she's The Rock's partner when that building is falling.
Okay.
The opening sequence with Jason Statham where he almost kills The Rock.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is, I didn't recognize her, and I think that was that was actually one of my quirks because I felt like they could have done that in a different way. And when they revealed her, I had no idea who she was.
I didn't know who she was. This is why it's in my quirks because I'm looking at it, I'm like, why is it there's some sort of like usually when they do movies like this. Because a lot of people haven't seen the other movies because there's so many of them. They'll do like a quick flashback or whatever. So as soon as she was revealed, just having a flashback to that beginning scene that you're talking about would have helped out a lot. You're like, oh, well, she must have been affiliated with The Rock somehow, and then you would,
and so
you kind of would have been able to go
so they
through.
hooked up on some other mission while it was believed because there's a storyline very similar to this where Michelle Rodriguez's character goes rogue and she's believed to be dead at one point. So that's when this all supposedly happens.
Supposedly happens, yes. Because otherwise he should be with Michelle Rodriguez the whole time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just like such a weird part of this movie that just takes you out of the movie entirely, and I'm just like, who the hell is this character? And they don't explain it at all. Like, they definitely assume that there's that you know about this mission that apparently they've never shown, where he's hooked up with her and had a kid.
Correct. Yes.
So, even the people who have seen it, they don't really explain that to you at all, that this happened. It's all assumed, which is really, really a bad problem with this movie.
Well, it is because it's the thing that drives him to do what he does. Yeah.
Exactly. So it just doesn't make any sense why you would have this character in here and not really explain everything that's going on, because it is the driving force of this entire situation for this movie. I only have one more thing to say, and I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Ooh.
And that's why is the nuclear football like that? I just the whole time I'm like, okay, so it's handcuffed to a guy in a case.
Yes.
And it's traveling around New York, right?
In New York.
So, like I hope this isn't something that actually happens, right? Because this is ridiculous. There's a serious security issue.
Makes no sense.
No.
That Russia would send their defense secretary alone to New York
with nuclear footballs
to all of their nukes and subs.
It makes no sense at all. It's like the entire time that whole sequence was happening, I'm just like, why would this happen? Why in the hell would they do this? I had the exact same feeling. I mean, it's basically just a plot device for the movie, and I had the exact same feeling back when we watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a good movie, but there's that weird thing where the nuclear bombs are attached to each other. They're coupled somehow. Why would you ever want to couple two nukes together? Like, it's just like not a thing that happens. So if one is over there, the other one is activated also. You're just like, what? Why would you do that? Why would you ever need to do that? But that's kind of how I felt about this scene, and I'm just like, God. And it was so funny because it was such a great, like, awesome visual sequence of all these cars just going, it was such a freaking fun thing, and which is actually one of my likes, because it was just one of the things that this movie does, and what the other Fast and Furious, the more recent Fast and Furious movies have done really well, is they've learned the rules of escalation. And when you have the rules of escalation in a movie, it's okay to have ridiculous things because it involves just the world that they're showing you. Like, this stuff is possible for this to happen. But the thing is from the beginning of the movie, where he wrecks his cousin's car, which just also doesn't kind of make any sense at all, it gets more and more ridiculous all the way up to where essentially he gets protected by all the cars with the flame burst coming after him, which is probably one of the most ridiculous things. But along the lines of The Rock moving a torpedo to blow like, but the thing is as an audience member, as long as you don't nuke the fridge, so the very towards the beginning of that towards the beginning of that movie,
you don't nuke the fridge.
But here's the deal: in Kingdom of Crystal Skull, that's at towards the beginning of the movie.
Right.
It's like the beginning or the middle of the movie. It's like towards the beginning, I believe. And the problem is nothing else gets any more ridiculous than that the whole time. So from the very beginning of the movie all the way through the rest, you're thinking, what the hell? Like, this is like the most ridiculous stunt I've ever seen. But you can do that for Fast and Furious because they've learned to escalate it. I really feel like, as an audience member, had they nuked the fridge at the end, you probably wouldn't have cared as much than at the beginning, because it would have progressed all the way up to this point where it's ridiculous. And it's just like such a weird thing for this movie to have that in there, but it's just I know that I've gone on this ridiculous rant.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, one of my likes about this movie is that they follow the rules properly. So even though there's a lot of ridiculous things,
my counter to that is, okay, but there's zero accountability. They destroy every car in Manhattan.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're back in New York at the end of the movie, and no one's arrested.
No.
They're just like, there's no investigation into why 20,000 cars just went flying off buildings. And...
towards the end of this movie, right, I'm thinking to myself, they're doing the family thing, they're at the dinner table, and I'm like, when are the cops gonna come up and start arresting people? Especially Dom, because he killed a bunch of people. He's just like, what are you doing? He killed so many people, and it's just like, whatever. Yeah. No big freaking deal.
No one important got hurt, right?
Nobody got hurt, right? Oh, it was such a weird part of this movie because there is no accountability at all. It's just like
in a true action movie, but
yeah, right.
But yeah, where's that bill at the end where Mr. Nobody says, "Okay, here's the bill from the city of New York." Oh, jeez.
Oh, man. All right, so let's continue on with your quotes.
All right, so man. Charlize Theron. Let's talk about Charlize. Yep. She never blinks. She never blinks. Not once in this entire movie. Now,
I want to watch it again just to see if you're right, because I definitely don't remember her blinking.
It's a common bad guy trait that actors roll out.
Yes.
For the most part, the audience isn't aware of this little technique, but it makes you uncomfortable, and it makes you distrust them, like psychologically.
Oh, yeah.
When you're sitting there, whether you know it or not, it just makes them seem evil because they're not showing any kind of emotion.
Yes.
Really, when you aren't blinking. But Charlize, I think, takes it to this whole other level because there's a baby involved. And you get the sense, especially when she's holding this kid.
Oh, yeah.
And she, kisses it. And you worry that she's going to lick its face. Fortunately, it doesn't come to that. Her licking the top of this bald baby's head. But you worry that while she's in this nursery from hell, that she's going to eat the skin off that baby's face. and so for a couple of scenes, she goes from being really a very garden variety bad guy.
Yes.
Who's like, I'm going to steal nukes and punish people. But she never really explains why.
Why? Which happens a lot in these movies. Which happens a lot in these kinds doesn't really have a motivation.
But there's a little extra notch when she's holding that baby, where you're like, God damn it! If that baby goes missing, we need to check her trailer.
The thing about that is man, one of my likes about this movie is I want to continue to see Charlize Theron as a villain. She's just good at it.
And that's how they set it up, right? I mean,
right? Yeah.
So we have to watch another one of these. And I kind of groaned at the end because I was like, no, wait, this is supposed to be the last one.
Right?
There's at least going to be one more now.
She actually gets away.
Because she gets away scot-free with everything that she did.
Yep. I love how she's like this ruthless villain that actually just gets away. I love how she's just like, there's one problem with your plan. I'm the only one with the parachute. And she just leaves. And it's like such a freaking classic villain move.
Right. Jason Statham should have said, that's terrible banter. That's terrible banter when she's already gone.
Oh, man. It's such a crazy thing.
Oh, jeez. The car race at the beginning. I thought it was a really clunky way to start the movie.
It was.
They tear ass in Havana, and the entire time I'm trying to think, because there's 8 of these movies now. So I'm sitting there watching this ridiculous over-the-top car race where it's amazing that no one's gotten killed. Yep. Because they're going so fast.
Yeah, and they're doing the whole motorcycle thing to keep people from...
Right, yeah.
Which is kind of, I thought, was an interesting thing to do,
But you need more motorcycles. I mean, what if they got stuck behind, a chicken cart and couldn't get to one of the intersections?
Yeah.
You just need it. You need it set up, and the authorities weren't anywhere near it. You would think someone would have been jumping all over that.
Oh yeah.
Stuff. But so that's not even the thing that I had an issue with, because as I was sitting there, I was like, well, isn't he supposed to be keeping a low profile? Nice. Because he's not doing that at all. And everyone just seems to know who he is. He's the second coming. Oh, but it's at the end of the race when he destroys that car his cousin's car in a fireball. And all these kids come out of nowhere, and they weren't there at the beginning of the race. There's just all these kids who are so happy to see the big, scary bald guy, and they run up to him like he's Santa Claus, and not some guy who secretly owns a windowless van. I'm just like, what is this here? How is he their champion? He won the race, but he destroyed the car in doing so.
He destroys the car in doing so, which is the other thing that just was so weird about that scene, because I'm like, the whole point was so that his cousin could keep his car.
Right.
And it's in a fireball
it's
by the time
vaporized in the ocean. Oh, cousin, I don't think I'm going to let you drive any of my cars anymore.
The only thing I can think of is obviously he was planning on giving him the Impala from the start because it just didn't make any sense. Why would you destroy the damn car?
The car's too slow for Toretto to be driving it. Here's my keys. We'll just forget that we somehow managed to bring this car over to Cuba on our honeymoon. Yep. We'll just gloss over the fact that I somehow snuck a car into this country.
Oh yeah. Which is another thing that doesn't really get explained either, because that woman that he was with at the beginning of the movie, he doesn't end with her either, right? Was she there at the end of the movie?
What are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
Where was he? Wasn't he with a different woman at the beginning of the movie?
No, he's with Michelle.
Was it with Michelle? Yeah, Jeez, man. She looks really different at the beginning of that movie. Oh, man. I remember the whole time I was thinking, what the hell? Is that a different woman?
Nice. What is your problem? I'm going to shave your head.
It'll just make me look like Vin Diesel, which is a good and a bad thing.
Damn you. The hacking sequences drive me nuts, and the thing is, they always will, because Hollywood always portrays them in the same way. People just randomly hitting crap on a keyboard and not really hitting anything that matters or is important when you're looking at what they're doing. But the idea of real-time hackers trading barbed comments as they're kicking each other out of systems. I mean, that's just not how it works. And it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, and it's in every single hacking scene that you see. And it's always something that happens.
It's so generic. I mean, it's almost like TV show bad how it is in this movie.
Yeah.
So, you're good, but I'm better. Enter. Spacebar.
It's just... There's no way to make that look cool. There isn't a way to make it look cool. So you have to do what you have to do with it. And so you're right. They're just always going to look bad. It just is what it is.
I guess the last thing I have is the whole family thing to me is overdone, because Dom spends the entire movie kicking their ass, and there's no... there's no, I'm sorry or anything. He's just there at the end and switches sides again. I just felt I don't get that, especially since he was actually hurting them throughout the movie.
Oh yeah, he was actually hurting them throughout the movie, and it's kind of it's one of those things that's kind of been an overlying thing across all these movies. Is one of the two things that is across all these movies is essentially family and cars, and so it's something that they just continue on with this story, but it isn't done very well, and it has a lot to do with the fact that Dom himself doesn't have much of emotion to him at all anyway. So for him to actually have some sort of emotions to what he's doing is just not a thing for him anyway, so it isn't conveyed at all to the audience very well, because it's just he's always very stoic, and that's it.
I mean, I think it would have been, and they never would have done this, but I think it would have been really interesting had he just gone bad for whatever, some other reason, and that they can't save him. What if he just turned into the villain of this franchise?
Shit.
I mean, because he's... The thing is, he's far more devastating that it seems like the guys that they go up against, and you know, really like sort of the balance was when they introduced Jason Statham, and now we don't even have him. And I was actually going to talk about that in my likes, but
all right,
you know, anyway, okay, that's it for quirks.
Yeah, okay, let's get into the likes then. Okay, sweet. So I want one simple thing that I want to say that I really enjoyed, and this is such a stupid little thing, but the way they did the labels for the locations was just like such a like subtle, cool way to just lay it on water like that. I thought that was just so cool, considering how many times that we've seen titles for locations. And I think probably the worst title for a location I've seen, oddly enough, is Captain America. The Civil War, because it's like bam in your face and it takes up the entire screen. There's no subtlety to it at all. And it always bothered the heck out of me. But the way this movie does it, it just kind of lays it on this water, and I thought that was just really cool. The biggest thing that I thought that was the best part about this movie is it's a fun movie. The movie's fun throughout the whole thing. Like you're just entertained the whole time, which is exactly what this movie needs to be. It doesn't really take itself too seriously the whole time, and it's kind of just fun to watch. And I think that's key when you start doing movies like this that has a lot of ridiculousness going on. So I thought that was a very good aspect to the movie. Charlize Theron as a villain, again, I love her as a villain. She needs to continue doing villains, and she just does it so well. And I can't wait to see her do more with these characters that she's coming up with, because she can just be completely ruthless and she looks good doing it. So it's like one of those, it's just kind of like, man,
there's no downside here.
No, there's no downside. She's just perfect for this. Like, Charlize Theron is such a great actor. I've always liked her, which was so weird to see her in this type of movie, but she still brings it. And it's so weird how often she does that, because she's been in bad movies like Snow White, but still brings it. And that's what's something that's really cool about her.
And I mean, what's interesting too is that, you know, this is her biggest weekend. This is the biggest box office opening that she's ever had, and it's been in this movie.
Yep. It's pretty amazing, because this movie has already made a ton of money, which is kind of crazy, but it is what it is. I mean, the last one made like $1 billion, and I don't know if this was going to get that high, but it's going to get high. So we'll see how it works out throughout when we check out the box office. The only other thing that I really enjoyed about this movie was more of just the all the little pieces of things that they did with Paul Walker, because they mention him while they're in the facility together trying to figure out what to do about Dom, and they're like, Brian would know how to deal with this. And so that was like a really cool thing, and I like that the movie ends with him naming the kid Brian as like a homage to Paul Walker. I thought that was just like a really cool way to just kind of show that he's still like a part of the franchise. I thought that was really cool. And that's all I have.
Oh, all right. Okay. I think one of the things I really enjoyed was there's a lot of little interactions between these characters, and
yes, there is.
You know, between The Rock and Statham and Ludacris,
which was really good.
Tyrese, where they're just I mean, they're all digging in at each other. They're all trading little verbal jabs. Yes. And it's very entertaining throughout the entire time, throughout the entire movie, and it makes sense. It feels like, you know, like this is something a guy, like, you know, the team of guys mostly with all this testosterone.
Oh yeah, like, there's a ton of testosterone in this. Do. Yeah.
But what I really like is that the girls just stay above it.
Right, the whole time.
Just like, you know, they're not getting in the mud, really.
Nope.
Like
Ramsey doesn't do it.
Fighting. They're just like, you know, stupid boys. Whatever.
Yep. Ramsey doesn't do it, and Cypher doesn't do it. There's definitely shots towards them, and they're just like, they rise above it every time.
Stay above everything.
Which
really.
I'm glad you say that, because that's one of my likes when I left the movie, but I had forgotten about it. But that's one of my likes about the movie also, is that this is a testosterone-fueled movie, obviously, through the whole thing. And having these women in here who just kind of like curb that quite a bit, just with their strength in the movie, I think is a really positive thing, because it is just like a mess of a bunch of guys going at each other pretty much through the whole movie. So it was a pretty interesting thing.
One of the things that I loved, and I wished that I had caught a commercial with this, because they didn't need to promote they should have kept it secret, and they were so close to keeping it secret that Helen Mirren was going to be in this movie. Yes. And I just caught a glimpse of her in a scene with Jason Statham, and I should have looked away from the TV because it was such a cool reveal.
Yeah, and having Helen Mirren
is that he called he called the bad guy's mom.
Yeah, he called the bad guy's mom.
So she shows up and makes her boys play nice with others.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ah, damn, that's cool.
Yep. Oh man, that's great.
And then she smacks the crap out of him, which I thought was just hilarious.
Oh yeah.
It's like, well, that tells you everything you need to know about that character and how those two boys were.
Yep, pretty much. Yep.
You know, the stunts. I mean, you mentioned escalation. Knowing that we're gonna get another one now, 9 Fast.
9 Fast, 9 Furious.
9 Furious. I don't know what they do. Race cars in space?
I don't know.
Mean, like, what's the next step?
Because this series has progressively gotten more and more ridiculous, and now there's a submarine and tanks. So, like, I don't know what else they could do, including a nuclear missile. So, like, I don't know what else this series can do. So they already
rolled that out.
Yeah, so they already rolled that out. So I have no idea what this series is going to do after this, because I didn't know what they were going to do after they tried to take, like, a plane down. What was it, like a C-130 or something down with a bunch of cars, which is just ridiculous. But they top it in this one. And so it's just like, man, I don't know what they're going to do. I have no clue. No clue at all.
Yeah. It's just, there's so much eye candy, and, it's just wildly entertaining. It's a wildly entertaining movie with all these stunts and everything.
Oh, yeah. It really is.
So, the only thing is, and I like this, I think my favorite part was The Rock and Jason Statham.
Yeah, they had great
squaring off. Part of me really wanted to see that fight, though. And we just don't get to see it because, surprise, he's secretly a good guy. He's
right.
British SAS, but I'm just not sure that quite adds up. I mean, he lit up when Jason Statham came onto the franchise. I mean, he lit up an entire prison facility. It was a crazy scene.
Yeah.
When he was trying to get his brother back originally, or get payback for his brother. So when he escaped, it just seems like I don't see him as being a good guy, but I guess if that's how they're gonna go, they're gonna have to come up with someone else to maybe actually threaten all these superheroes that they have. And that's the thing, like everyone is sort of getting superpowers, like they're going away from being regular humans. And it's nice to know that after all these years, and I'm wondering if you caught it, that The Rock will still bring out the rock bottom.
Yeah.
When he's fighting. Because he in that one sequence, he picks that guy up and rock bottoms him into a railing. And I'm like, We're just not going to mention that. We're not going to mention that move. We're just going to go on to the next bad guy.
Yep.
I was like, I'm telling you, he just rock bottomed the guy. He just rock bottomed the guy in a serious action fight sequence. Like this was Doom or something. This movie's going to make $500 million plus worldwide, and he just rock bottomed the guy into a railing, and no one else is freaking out about it.
Oh, that's great.
Oh man,
that's great.
All right. That's it for me.
Is that it for you? All right. So let's go ahead and rate this thing. So I think this movie is just it's wildly fun and entertaining. And if that's what you want in your movie, I have no problem with telling people to see it. Otherwise, at least give it a rental, because it's a fun movie to watch. And that's where I'm at.
I think it's just too entertaining to not go and see. I mean, it's not going to challenge you. You can go and see it. If you haven't seen all the other ones, it's a fun action movie.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It has a lot of A-list celebrities in it. So
yeah,
go get it on. Go F8 yourself.
All right, man. So let's sign out then. You always can contact us on halfpastpodcast.com. That's halfpastpodcast.com, home on the web.
Like us on Facebook.
Rate us on iTunes and Google Play.
We're on Stitcher and Libsyn.
Email us at halfpastcast@gmail.com. That's halfpastcast@gmail.com.
Come and Twitter us.
Twitter us?
Half Past Podcast. Pour some tweet on me.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for your support. Our next movie coming up is Guardians of the Galaxy, which is like 3 weeks from now. It's like it's a while from now.
Yeah, we should have some spoiler-free. We should have the return of spoiler-free videos by then.
Oh, are we going to do those again? You're going to start working on those again?
So we're going to have to schedule things accordingly.
Yeah, we'll have to schedule things accordingly.
The demand has been real.
Yeah, people have been asking for
the return of spoiler-free. And in fact, I think it's in front of all of our videos anyway. I missed spoiler-free.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But but we're trying to get you to watch or listen to the whole thing, right? I missed the spoiler-free videos.
Yeah.
Because I could just hit play and listen for 2 minutes. I want to hit you with my keyboard. I'll tell you what, I'll hit you with my keyboard, and if the keys are still there, you can take a swing at me, and then I'll go back to work trying to figure out how to get these spoiler-frees out without spending Sunday night at a 4-hour clip each time. Damn it, why can't I get these out in 4 hours? They're just getting more and more elaborate, Graham.
Yes, they got more and more elaborate, and the thing is they always look good. And
they do, yeah.
And I've worked with you for years, and so I know you're quick. And so it's kind of unfortunate how much time it was taking to get them out, because it's like, man, there's a lot more work here. But that's just kind of how it is.
I think I'm going to try to get that time down for us. And for everyone who likes the spoiler-free videos.
Yeah, all right, cool. All right. This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks.
Jonesy.
See you next flick.
Oh.